Oh. Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. This upcoming Thursday, we complete our spiritual semesters. On Thursdays, we're studying the Yaksha Prashna, or dialogue with Dharma. We recently came across the most famous question and answer from this portion of the Mahabharata. Do note, the Bhagavad Gita is also part of the Mahabharata. I'm reading the question and answer to you. The question, Kim Ashcharya? In English, what is amazing? What is the most significant surprise? And though this is not stated, it's implied about how humans think and behave. For those who don't have a reference to this question and answer, try to share in the chat. Today, yesterday, your life, what surprises you the most about humans? You can share in the chat. The answer that is given by Prince Arjuna's eldest sibling, second eldest sibling, Raja Yudhishthira. I'll go through the Sanskrit and explain it in English so we don't get lost. Ahani, day. Ahani, day after day. Bhutani, beings or humans. Gachanti, they go. Iha, from here, that is the world. Yamalayam, to the abode of death. Day after day, we see beings, humans, die. But how do we think and behave accordingly? Sheshaha, remaining, stavaram, in one's place, ichandi, desire. Yet, we desire to live forever. For this body not to get sick, for this body not to die. Kimascharyam ataha param. What greater amazement or surprise can there be? I would like to change the word ascharyam to stupidity. And so the seekers in our Dialogue with Dharma course, their their reflection adventure of the week, and I'm sharing the same for all of us, was to not be described by this question and answer. And I feel Meaningful Mornings works hard and smart for us not to think and behave like we are going to live forever physically. Meaningful Mornings is an icon of steadiness, but this steadiness is to teach us to shift from the changing to the changeless. I wish you could see where I am right now. I wish someone was there taking a photograph. So the American phone I'm using for Instagram, it was in the car last night because I couldn't find it. So it has no power, so I'm charging it. And so it won't stand on my stand. So I'm looking around this office and I found a huge bottle of Jack Daniels. So that's what's holding up this phone right now. And here I'm teaching from the Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, and there's business degrees all around me. But I feel like that's such a great sign of, despite all of the changing, that we can still find the changeless. Now I see a lot of smiles right now as soon as I mention Jack Daniels. Is there a reason you're smiling? Because you have a big bottle of Jack Daniels beside you right now too. That's why we insist you have your camera on. Chapter 18, verse 49. Shri Krishna is emphasizing intention. This is not a casual intention like mindfulness or paying attention. It is about worship. To use the body, mind, and intellect to worship the presence through your purpose. Shri Krishna had shared, for one not to be, I'm going to go from lightest to heaviest, not to be an indulger. Now I'm changing this word for the sake of remembrance to not be the one who's disobedient, particularly in reference to the body. We should be directing our body should not be controlling us. Then for the mind, to not be a deserver. For the intellect, to not be a doer. Our intention should be to use the body, mind, and intellect for worship, not to worship the body, mind, and intellect. As soon as you worship the body, mind, and intellect, you become disobedient, deserving, doing. Then, in verse 50, Shri Krishna introduces, in this flow of thought, he introduces Brahma, which in English means bigness. The implication is infinity. I'd shared again and again and again that Shri Krishna is commencing his review of Dhyana Yoga, or chapter 6. Now I'm taking us back there before we move forward. In chapter 6, verse 10 is the first verse that provides guidance on how to contemplate. Before this verse, there are 3 lovely verses that are almost like the carrot for why one should be steady, sincere, strong with contemplation. In verse 7, Shri Krishna shares, for the one who contemplates, they will be balanced in all circumstances. In verse 8, they will be balanced with all articles. But the greatest utility came in verse 9, the one who will be balanced with all beings. A Sanskrit word for balance is sama. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishad, Brahma, or infinity, or bigness, is also described as sama. So what was shared in chapter 6 is being shared again in chapter 18. As we get into the proper review where specific guidance is given, my reflections on myself and you, those who are able to contemplate, they're able to walk through dhyana dvara. Those who are able to do this well, it's because they have the feeling what they have experienced outside and inside is not enough. And that's why they know contemplation is the only way to feel enough. So if you find you are unsteady with contemplation, or insincere, or not strong, I'm going to infer it's because you're still holding on to circumstances, articles, beings. You feel that's enough. So you don't want to change finally into contentment. Think lots in an honest way. How would you rate your success in contemplation? If it's lower, the way that we're living is going to indicate how we contemplate. So maybe your living is not intentional enough. We continue into verse 51. This is a recap of the guidance shared on Dhyana Yoga. Buddhya vishuddhya yuktaha dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayams tyaktva raga dvesha vyudhyasya cha. Joy. The first quarter, yuktaha, the one who's enjoined with, the one who has followed through with, buddhya vishuddhya, their intellect is pure. The way this plays out, they have the purpose. This purpose is pure. This purpose is clear. They have the purpose. They've tried everything in life to be content, but they're not content. That they have to go through this final practice, this final sadhana of contemplation. There's a sense of emergency or urgency that there is no other way. That's the first quarter. The second quarter, dhritya atmanam, their sense of being, and this is specifically in reference to the mind, dhriti is determined. And this determination flows along the lines of niyamya. Niyamya means to do, to practice. The translation says niyamya is controlling or restraining. The mind can't be controlled or restrained, but rather has to be directed. Sharing this in a visual way. For those who drive, yesterday I drove from Niagara Falls to Cleveland. If your purpose is clear, you will, as a driver, you will stay in your lane and you won't need guardrails. Agree? When you are distracted, or the weather is distracted, in the sense it's rainy, it's icy, etc., then guardrails are needed. That's why we have forever emphasized purpose pulls performance. If your intellect is clear, your mind will follow. That's what's happened between Shri Krishna and Prince Arjuna. Shri Krishna's voice is not increased in decibels. Prince Arjuna's mind is quietened so he can hear and listen to that voice and follow. If you're engaged in the niyamas, what to do, you don't need the yamas, what not to do. Third quarter, shabdadin, which means words, sounds, etc. These are vishayas. The implication is sense objects. Tyaktva. One has let go of word, sound, sense objects. Now, physically, that is impossible. Water is a sense object. You seeing my scary face is a sense object. Here's where you say no, Vivekji. Many of you are nodding right now. Yesterday in Cleveland, we had a really awesome satsanga on the philosophical insights of Sundarakanda. And I was sharing with the seekers there that as Hanumanji is going from Bharat to Lanka, he has 3 challenges that come on the way. A mountain, which symbolizes pleasure. A serpent, which symbolizes possession. And a shadow, which symbolizes position. And what I had shared with all of the seekers was, in your life, pleasure, possession, and position is going to come. If it comes, touch it lightly. Because it came and it is going to go. Touch it, don't hold it. Water is a sense object. This face is a artwork. Touch it lightly, in the sense that it came, it will go. On June 10th, we will complete Meaningful Mornings. Then we will not see each other for 5 weeks. But we have really lovely training prepared for you as soon as Meaningful Mornings is completed. Stay tuned for that. Final quarter, Raga Dveshau Vyudyasya cha. Raga's likes, Dvesha's dislikes, Vyudyasya means to, again, let go of this, not hold on to this. What Pujaswami Tejomayananda shared, which is so insightful, obviously. Sense objects are outside, yet likes and dislikes are inside. And what is the deduction from that? For the one who lives in an indisciplined way, it is their fault. Likes and dislikes are inside of you. It's not built into water or my face. It is your choice to live by that. Anyone who really is personalizing this, you will complain less, you will blame less, you will annotate less. I sometimes find in my teachings and travels with older couples whose children have grown up, grandchildren are grown up, a partner will essentially blame the other partner because of poor eating habits or poor exercising habits. She doesn't cook well, so I don't eat well. He doesn't want to exercise, so I don't exercise. That's all lack of seeking. It's inside of you. Take responsibility. From inspiration to application. On Wednesday, in our celebration, you got to listen to our Seeker to Facilitators offer Guru Stotra. On Thursday, our Seeker to Facilitators had their graduation. On Friday, I announced by name, and you got to see by face, all of our Seeker to Facilitators. I'm sharing this because so much has been invested in them, and they are following through with their service. It is important that we support each other. When I had completed my training in chaplaincy, all I got was an electronic piece of paper. There was no announcement, there was no endorsement. And I'm fortunate because I have strong relationships with you. You keep on looking to me, inviting me, but I feel less comfortable with everyone else who doesn't have this kind of relationship endorsement. Nobody knows that they're trained to do that kind of work. So I am being very careful not to commit that organizational error. And so you listen to their reflections, and here is your application for this morning. I want you to reflect on Sanatana Dharma, and I want you to think of what is the single facet of Sanatana Dharma that keeps Sanatana Dharma Sanatana? If you can pick one part of Sanatana Dharma, what keeps this everlasting? Shanti, 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 be joy.